Conservative Voices Silenced. I'm Kristine Sposato, and I'm excited to be your guide through the stories that matter. Stories of resilience, strength, and triumph in a world that doesn't always make space for conservative voices.
And I'm Elizabeth Smith, joining Kristine in this journey. We know how it feels when your beliefs seem to be drowned out by the noise, but here on this podcast, we're turning up the volume.
That's right, Elizabeth, and we're creating a space where conservative voices can speak their truths, sharing the challenges they've faced and the victories they've celebrated.
Conservative Voices Silenced is not just a podcast, it's a movement that recognizes the diversity within conservatism and gives a platform to those who felt marginalized.
So whether you're a conservative looking for reliable stories or someone curious about the experiences of those with differing viewpoints, you're in the right place.
Get ready for an engaging ride as we dive into the trials and triumphs of conservatives navigating a progressive world. We invite you to join us on this journey of discovery, understanding, and most importantly, amplifying voices that deserve to be heard.
This is Conservative Voices Silenced, where silence ends and the conversation begins. All right. Good morning. This is an exciting day. This is our first episode as co-hosts, and we have Elizabeth here joining us, Elizabeth Smith, and I'm Kristine Sposato. So we're just going to introduce ourselves so you can get to know a little bit more about us. We'll talk about our vision for the show, and then we'll just chat about what's going on and what we've been up to this week and what is central in our lives right now, which is Elizabeth's school board election.
Super fun.
So you want to start, Elizabeth? Tell everybody a little bit about you.
Sure. I have 3 children in public schools. They are 9, 8, and 7, Grace and Everett and Temperance. And we live in, I call it country-ish, but it's a small school. My kids' elementary school, there's only 200 students. And I've been running for school board for a couple years. The last time I wrote in as a write-in, and then the time before that it was. This last time I actually got my name on the ballot. I did all the work, got my name on the ballot, and I lost by 10 votes. So this time I'm running as a write-in again, but I'm excited and exhausted from all of it. But I'm the vice chair of Moms for Liberty, Erie County, PA. And I absolutely love the organization. I have no regrets joining it. They do amazing things. We do amazing things. So I don't know if I forgot anything.
I think that's a great overview.
There's so much. It's like, let's see what I can remember.
It's a great overview. And I haven't really done an introduction on my previous episodes. So I live in Colorado, rural Colorado. I was in higher education for 20 years in a metro area. So I really enjoy the peace and quiet of living in the rural America. And today I am home in my homeland of Wisconsin, rural Wisconsin. I'm a farm girl, and I can't even tell you what it's like to come home. My heart is here, and I'll get back to that. I have 2 children and 3 stepdaughters. I have a son and a daughter, and they live in the Denver metro area, and a granddaughter that's 2, and she's hilarious. I can't even tell you. I just really, my heart just longs for just a moment of that again, of being a mom and just having that little slice of those precious moments. And I remember they were overwhelming at the time, but now that I am able to visit her not often, we live several hours from them. So it's not just down the block to see her. So I do love every moment that I'm with her. She's so fun. And, when I was talking about heart, I responded to in my last podcast, I read a response to somebody's post on Facebook. And in that post, I referred to rural people as being the heart of America. And you hear people refer to the heartland of America. And they're talking about rural people because you never hear anyone refer to urban people as the heartland of America or the heart of America, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I'm not bashing urban people, uh, but really rural people are and always have been the heart of what America is all about. And it really is about freedom and hard work and the values and morals that hold a community together. And being back here, being back home, I am surrounded by those people and those values and my homeland and my heartland. And it means everything to me to be home. And I'm so excited. And I'm going to stop talking.
That was great. I agree 100%. Absolutely.
Yay.
I have to apologize because I'm looking at you, but my camera is up on the top of my computer. So it looks like I'm looking down and not at you. So that'll have to be adjusted at some point.
It's the conundrum of what we do on computers now. It's the same with Zoom. And so I invested in this little camera thingy that I brought with me. It's this little doohickey, and you're supposed to stick it to you in the center of your screen. And so it looks like you're looking at the other person. However, it's a piece of junk.
Oh, no.
It took about 6 weeks to get here because it was on a boat from China. And it's all pixelated and weird. It's not very good. So I don't recommend this to anybody unless you find one that does work. So right now I am staying in this a tiny little town. Main Street is 2.5 blocks. And I am in an Airbnb that's above a storefront of these old buildings, which is super cool. I'm so excited.
That is.
But right now there's some workers walking on the roof outside my window.
Of course.
Looks like they're patching something on the roof. So if there's distractions, I apologize. They might walk by the window. I might have to wave at them. So that's what's happening in the moment. So the camera thing, people walking around outside. This is what we do.
I think I'm still delayed too by a couple seconds.
Oh, okay. Well, do you want to talk a little bit about what's going on, Elizabeth, with your school board election? What is happening?
Yeah, it's really exciting. We have people that are just nasty in messages on different Facebook posts. Wow. And they're trying to bash Moms for Liberty, which, yeah, it happens. We're used to it. But when they go in and they say, you're funded by dark money, I find it comical because the Democratic Party, teachers union, are actually funded by dark money. Mm-hmm. George Soros. I was at the gas station yesterday or the day before, and when you start pumping your gas, they have the screen that comes on, and it's super loud, and I usually try to ignore it. Well, I was texting somebody or something, and it popped up, and I didn't pay attention at first, and all of a sudden I hear investment something George Soros, and I thought, what? This was in Ohio. This was at a gas station in Ohio mentioning George Soros on an ad at the gas pump. And I thought, hello. I wish I could have recorded it. I might have to try to see if it comes up again the next time I go, but I could not believe that. So
is he some people's hero?
I guess. I honestly don't know anything good about him, but it really threw me off when I saw him in the ad. I thought, what in the world? I'm just looking and I hear the name and I'm like, Then I'm paying attention to the screen. Like, what did he just say? And at first I thought maybe I'm losing my mind, but then he said it again, and it's like, oh my gosh, something with investment banking or something like that. It threw me off. And then it's funny because I hear that 2 days ago, and then I get on this Facebook post today, and they're talking about Moms for Liberty and dark money, and I'm like, really?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
How does Moms for Liberty fund their organization? I don't know a whole lot about Moms for Liberty, a little bit, but I'm not one. So how do they get their money?
Well, most it's donors. It's you, me. We have paid memberships. People pay for us here in Erie County. It's $25 for the year.
Wow.
That's how we get locally funded. And we have, I'm sure we have sponsors. I don't want to say anything and be incorrect because I'm not 100% sure about how Summit got paid and everything, but it's largely donors who believe in the cause, who believe in the group. And most chapters have their own memberships and their fees, so it may be different in different areas. But
sure,
for us here, we charge, it's $25 a year. We do, newsletters, and we try to do events and things like that. We just had an event last month where we had board members, candidates, and we had candidates for judge and and county council and things like that showed up. And we did it like a mixer. Instead of having people come in and you sit down and you listen to people speak for 2 hours, we changed it up, and we just had all of them had their own table. They could put their stuff out on their section of the table, and anybody that wanted to come in and just talk to one specific candidate could come in, talk to them, and then go. And I thought it was really great. I wish we would have had more community there. But we had a great amount of candidates that came. So that's the kind of stuff that we've been trying to do here. And
that is great.
Yeah.
Here in Wisconsin, I have been attending some events that have been going on, and this organization has kind of broken off from the traditional GOP, and they're starting from scratch. They've only been in existence for a year, and it's amazing the speakers and the way that they're reaching out to the community. You said at that event you didn't have very good attendance. That's been my experience at home in Colorado too, is we have very small turnout for anything that we sponsor. Last night, I went to hear a speaker talking about child sex trafficking abroad and an organization that does these rescue missions. It was so powerful, but the room was packed. It was held in a church, a local church, and there had to have been 200 plus people there. Amazing. It was packed. I took pictures and I texted them to my husband, who's still home in Colorado, and he said, that is so amazing and remarkable. He said, good for those people in Wisconsin that are showing up. And, that's a conundrum that I see where I live too, is that people don't show up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you gotta start showing up. You can't sit there and complain about the things that are going on. You can't expect just one handful of people to do everything. It's impossible. I've been doing this for almost 3 years now. I started a Facebook parents group for our district a couple years ago, and I'm exhausted. It doesn't sound like it should be tiring, but just trying to keep up with everything. And now that, the masks are off and all that stuff, people think, oh, cool, we're done. It's over. No. There's still social emotional learning and critical race theory that our school now has social emotional learning. And they're using the excuse of, well, kids weren't in school for COVID. So now they have all of this depression and all of this stuff going on. We need to get them extra help. No, you should have kept them in school and we wouldn't be where we are. And in my kids' elementary school, they implemented a guidance class. So now the guidance teacher is not in her office when a student needs her. She's in classrooms teaching classes. And
Wow.
That's where the social emotional learning of the SEL was brought into the school. Well, because they need curriculum to teach. Well, I'm sorry, but they've been teaching this for the last 2 years and have been doing fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
So why do we need to bring in it? And it all goes back to the funding. The
It
ESSER
is.
funding, federal funding. It's not federal funding. It's taxpayer funded. Nobody seems to understand that.
Well, my drive out here from Denver to Minneapolis is about 13 hours ish. And I binge listened to our friends, Dale and Jim, on
2 guys, 1 coup.
That was perfect. Which is, an amazing podcast, but, I was starting to get freaked out that I've been putting this in my head nonstop for 13 hours, just listening to the two of them. I texted Dale and I said, I'm brainwashed now. You have brainwashed me. But they just have such outstanding guests, and the quality of their show is so great. It kept me tuned in for 13 hours when I could have chosen, a Fox News channel. I could have listened to any podcast on Spotify or whatever. And I listened to them the whole time because it just kept rolling from one episode to the next one. And each one was so engaging, I couldn't not listen. So highly recommend. But they had a guest that was talking about this curriculum and the social emotional learning. And she said that she found out that her child, daughter, I think, they had some kind of like standardized test that they gave on social emotional learning. And so she went in and had to kind of fight the system to find out. She wanted to see exactly what the questions were and how her daughter had answered the questions, because she had like some kind of permission hold on everything for her daughter that she was supposed to approve. And this thing they did without her approval, as I understand the podcast interview. But she went in and they said they would only give her they could only deliver the results, the conglomerate results. That's not the word, but anyway, she was reading that. And what struck me was that was like a personality profile. To me, it sounded like they're profiling our children. And it was questions, do I rebel against authority, or do I do what people tell me to do? Do I question things and then feel bad about it? Or do I, and I thought, oh my gosh, they're profiling our children. And now they know who to go after, who they can just recruit, who they have to reprogram. And no, nobody on the podcast said that, but I was driving through Omaha at the time, and that was my own, that was just my own gut reaction was, oh my gosh, if they're giving this to kids everywhere in all these schools, now they have a profile on children. And they've got, their names, their social security numbers. They've got all their information on these kids. And the government is collecting this.
Yeah. I opted my son out. So it starts here at 4th grade. And it's the BASC test.
Okay.
It's not a test. It's survey or assessment. Yeah. We actually got something from the district that claimed it's not an assessment. I should probably find that email, but it has questions, and I asked the person who is in charge of that, can I please see the questions you're going to be asking my child? I want to see them before I make the decision to opt them out. And we were told that the school solicitor, who is the school lawyer, that they said that we're not allowed to show you those because these are paid for assessments, therefore it's copyrighted. They use that you'll hear that all the time in schools. It's copyrighted. Really? We can't. Curriculum, it's copyrighted. We can't show it to you. Oh yeah. That's the first go-to that they tell you when you want to see something. And so her response was, we can't show you that it's copyrighted. The solicitor told us we're not allowed, but some examples are, and then they would give some examples. And they were things like, do you feel depressed? Does your parents or does your mom or dad drink more than one beer a day? It even goes as far as asking how many guns are in your home. And these are the things that they claim. But when the child starts the test, or at least this one specifically, when they start the test, can you hear my dog? I'm sorry.
He's in distress.
Oh, yeah, he's going to say hi.
Okay, that's all right. That's cool.
I'm going to pause real quick so I can apparently take him out.
Okay.
That shouldn't be something that goes through an assessment. The teachers can tell that. Anybody in our school, now I know there are schools that are huge. Like we have Erie City School is huge. And I can understand kids falling through the cracks there.
Right.
But my kid's district is small. We have 200 students in our elementary school. There's 2 elementary schools, but the one that my kids go to, there's only 200 students. The principal, all of the staff, including maintenance, the cafeteria workers, they know every student by name. They know the parents, the guardians. They know everybody. I go in there and they know me. And there's you can't tell me that a school like that, they're not going to know that there's something going on at home. It's, an assessment where you're asking, and before I had to pause it earlier, the questions that are asked in this specific one, the first question and how the child answers that is what the second question is based off of. So if you have the first question is, how are you feeling happy today? And what if my son had a bad day or he had a rough morning? And he answers that first question saying, no, I'm not happy today. That second question is based on his answer to that. So it will be different if he says, I'm happy today or I'm not happy today. That assessment will completely change question to question. And they will not tell you what those questions are, just possibilities. I just went through all of this maybe a week or two ago to opt my child because my oldest is in 4th grade. And I got a notification from the school saying your son is of age where he's going to be going through this. And then we got something, I'll have to find it and go over it next time, of what the district claims it is and isn't.
And, like you said, why even do this at all? And they'll never publish the results.
No.
So we'll never know if it's effective or not, if it actually would be identifying students that need extra help. If that is true, if it does identify the students that need help, who's helping them? Do they have extra resources, and are they staffing to help these students? And then what does that curriculum look like? Do they get an IEP? Do they get classified in a special category in the schools? It's just, there's this whole snowball of questions of, okay, you give the assessment and then what?
Well, that's a good thing you brought up too, the IEP. That actually gives the district more money. If a child is given an IEP, the district gets usually double what they were getting before. Like here, every student is $12,000 for the district. If that child gets an IEP, that goes up to $24,000. That's just an estimate, but that's the average around here. So you have a student that takes this assessment, right? They answer the questions, and whoever gets these says, this student needs extra help. Okay, sends them to the guidance counselor or whoever. Here they hired more guidance counselors using the COVID funding.
Okay.
And those counselors will meet with the children, whatever that is. I don't know the specifics on that. But then they could be told, your child has a learning disability, which a lot of kids do now because of shutting down, because of masking. So then they can say, well, you should be able to go and get an IEP. And then there's extra money for the school district. So if you have all of these kids doing these assessments, getting moved on to a guidance counselor, they can get moved on to get one of those. And now the school gets more money. And I know people don't want to know that, but it's money talks. That's what all of this stuff is. It's, you know, it's the COVID funding and all of these SEL and all that stuff. That was a part. If your district accepted that COVID funding or the ESSER funding, they were required to put in some form. First, it was social emotional health, which I was okay with. And then somewhere magically in between all the COVID stuff, when the kids started going back to school, it changed to social emotional learning. So your kids have a price on their head in public schools.
Yeah.
And how many more kids are going to all of a sudden come out? And IEPs, which are wonderful for the kids who truly need them, because they have to follow them to a T. They are not allowed to go off of those IEPs. And how many kids in the districts now are going to be on one of those? How much harder is it going to make the teachers to say, okay, well, this IEP says I have to do this, but then this one says I have to do this, when these kids really just need to go back to normal. We need the basics.
Right. Yeah, I just heard from a teacher recently that said that there was something identified on an IEP that said the student needed any assignment or test to be adapted to them and to take extra time for the assignment or the test, whatever it was. And the teacher said that now the student had progressed enough that the IEP was holding the student back. And they should be able to keep, they were at a level where they could keep up, where they didn't need the extra time. And that the teacher had done some assessment and, you know, could document that it worked. The student had caught up, and an assignment was given. The student wasn't given extra time. The teacher had not gone through the whole process of redoing the IEP. Just on her own, she had documented the student is ready to do this on her own, put it in the file. And the parent came unglued and said, no, the IEP, the official document says this, this, and this. And the teacher said, well, I just want you to understand that your student has done great and has progressed and now is up with the rest of the class. And that's what we want, isn't it? And the parent said, no, I want my student to be on that IEP forever. And I want my student to be, you know, have these special accommodations made for them. And the teacher was saying, I don't understand where parents are coming from that they wouldn't celebrate being told, yeah, we need to update the IEP officially, but hooray, your student is up to, you know, class level and keeping up with all the other students, hooray. And the parent was saying, no, I want accommodations for my child forever. What is that? What is that?
That's crazy to me.
I mean, that's an IEP tangent. It's not exactly what we're talking about. But, you know, when you're saying so many kids have IEPs, I guess what it triggered for me was just how much in that process, how vulnerable are students to the whims of the school district, politics, parent craziness. And like you're saying, just teach the dang student. Let's get them in classrooms. Let's just go back to basics. And now you've got all these other factions that are fighting over the students learning for different reasons that are actually all selfish and self-serving. My question.
Yeah.
It just seems crazy. Wow. Well, the talk I went to last night was on child sex trafficking. And like I said, the place was full. It was amazing and outstanding. And the speaker, he had military experience and now works for an organization that does these undercover missions. And their mission is to go in, they get law enforcement involved in whatever country they're in, and their mission is to not only rescue the children, but to also prosecute the perpetrators or the traffickers. And so it's a pretty big operation with a lot of different agencies and a lot of different groups involved. But he said the hardest thing is to figure out who is corrupt. And he said more often than not, our operation gets abandoned because someone in their law enforcement in whatever country it is will tip off the traffickers before they get to the stage where they actually go in and do the arrests and save the children. And he said, he told this heartbreaking story about saving this 15-year-old girl. And they were going in for the arrest. And he said, we met a police car coming out of this compound, he said they call it a resort, but it's not, but this place. And he said, I'm with the police. So the police car coming out, he said that didn't look good. And it was someone that had gone in, tipped off the traffickers. And he said they found out that he did it for 20 American US dollars is what the bribe was. He got 20 American US dollars. And they're just children's lives. It's just so tragic. So there are just children we need to fight for everywhere. Our own children are being corrupted and brainwashed and indoctrinated. And there are children here within our borders and children abroad that are being used and brutalized. And we need everyone to fight the fight that they're called to fight in their circle of influence. I just don't know what else to say. I think now more than ever before, at least in my lifetime, I can't think of a time that's been like this before.
No, we are in scary times.
We do. But your kids have chickens.
We have chickens and we have ducks. 2 ducks. Lots of chickens.
And they have you.
It's fun. Yes. I'm trying.
And they have you. And that is just, wow, priceless to have parents that care and are taking the, slings and arrows online and in person to fight for your kids and to fight for all the other kids. It's just amazing, Elizabeth. I just admire you so much.
Thank you very much. Doing what I can. I'm just one person, and everybody needs to step up. If there's something you don't believe in, help somebody, find somebody. There's chapters. We have a chapter in almost every state now for Moms for Liberty. So find someone and ask them how you can help. Even just passing things out at events or donating memberships every year. For us, it's $25. I know some other ones are $40 and stuff, but just step up and help. It really doesn't take much.
The program I was at last night was co-sponsored by the Moms for Liberty in this county. And I stopped at their table and was chatting with them for a few minutes before the program started. And we were talking about sometimes it's so difficult to get conservatives active because by nature, conservatives conserve.
Right.
A lot of conservatives are private, they're quiet, they hold their own beliefs, but they aren't activists. A lot of conservatives, don't believe in standing on a soapbox out in front of a building with a megaphone yelling at people. It's kind of contrary to their nature. You think of the heartland, and that's not the first thing that pops into your mind. And our conversation with these Moms for Liberty officers is trying their personal struggle, trying to get the word out and to dispel the beliefs that even conservatives hold about what this organization is about, because it's kind of an activist organization. They want people to take action if you're a member and if you're involved. And so many conservatives are really afraid of that if they're not comfortable doing that. Can you talk a little bit more about your experience with Moms for Liberty and how they kind of sort that out and invite people to take action, and what kinds of things people can do that is within their own comfort zone?
Well, one of the main things is if you're on social media, share the Moms for Liberty posts. That's one click, share post. That is going to be the number one thing that helps, because the national page, they share everything going on. They share events and things like that. And then find your local chapter, even if you don't have one in your county, because they are trying to do chapters in every county in every state.
Yeah.
So if you don't have one that's close, just find one in your state. And if you don't have one in your state, get a hold of somebody near you and start one. The membership fees, we have a free one and we have one that's $25. Do the free one. If you don't have the funds, which obviously now not many do the free membership. Ask, when they have events, local events, post those local events for them. Even if you can't make it, if for some reason you cannot make it and you cannot do whatever the membership fee is, share the posts. It's the least amount of effort, but it goes a long way. It really does.
Wow. And what is their call out, their tagline? Is it peaceful warriors?
Joyful warriors.
Joyful warriors.
I have a coffee cup. I'll have to use that next time. I have a coffee cup that says that I bought at Summit.
Yeah. And it struck me when I first heard that really is what a mom is. Whether they're involved in that organization or they're just home with their kids, that's really what a mom is. And I thought, gosh, that's so brilliant. It's so simple, but brilliant that's what they chose. I think that's fantastic. So for all the people that think that they're not a cult, but, some taking dark money. And I think that's a good reminder that they're just joyful warriors that want their kids to grow up free.
Yeah.
Wow, what good work.
And we were in Philadelphia for our last summit. And you could see the difference between the protesters outside, which is their right to do. We had no problem that the protesters were there. But the things that they were saying and the things they were passing out to children that was over the line. But inside, with the staff at the hotel, they were so wonderful to us. And we were wonderful to them. We treated them with respect. They were taking so much crap from the protesters and everything else. And even people online were trying to get people to fill out bad reviews for the hotel that have never even been at the hotel before. And at the end of the summit and the breakfast the last day, they actually brought all of the people who had been serving us our meals up to this in front of the stage, and we applauded them and thanked them for what they were doing. And it's things like that. You can call us extremists, you can say whatever you want, but at the end of the day, when you actually see us in person doing what we're doing, it's different. That's not who we are. We want the best for our children and for the future. And I'm not leaving that organization, no matter what the locals think.
Right. That is just amazing. And, that reminds me that we need to fight for all the children, whether they're conservative children, liberal children. My kids are liberal. They do not support what I do. They do not support my mission personally. They don't support my book that I wrote. They don't support this podcast. They have been indoctrinated. And, I worry about my granddaughter, but they're adults. They aren't children anymore, and they're intelligent adults. And I pray every day that they find their way to good information, truth, and that they will find their way to turn their beliefs and their philosophies and attitudes around. And I pray every day for my granddaughter. And that's why I'm still doing this. They don't approve of it. They don't like it, but they don't really understand I'm doing it for them and their children. And I won't stop either, Elizabeth. I won't stop, because this world has to be a better place for those kids, for your kids, for my grandkids. And we have to do the work. There's no one else that's going to do this work for us. No one. There's no one out there who's going to do this for us. It's not going to magically fall from the sky. And for me, I believe if I pray, God will guide me, but he gave me the legs and the hands and the mouth and this microphone to do the work. And that God will guide me to find my way to do it. And I found you. I found Elizabeth. And I found these other wonderful people that are helping show me the way. And I'm so grateful for that.
I'm very grateful. It's like weight loss, right? You have to put in the work. Nobody can lose the weight for you. They can't eat healthy. They can't do the exercises. That's why I've been trying to lose weight for 10 years. I'm not to my goal, but I am definitely getting into the routine of how to maintain and everything. But if I hadn't taken that first step, I would be where I was 10 years ago.
Right.
So even if if it seems small, like drink more water every day, get online and share some posts of people that you agree with, things that you want to see changed. Post that stuff. Don't be scared of who's going to come and say, you shouldn't post that. That's terrible. Who cares? If you don't like it, grow up, be an adult, scroll right by.
Yeah.
So everybody can do something.
Very, very powerful. And last night at this talk, they started out singing this song. People probably know this song. I don't know. I don't go to a church that's modern enough that they sing like contemporary Christian music. So I never hear it. Like as a lady with a guitar, and then they had the words projected on the wall. I don't go to a church like that. We've got the old hymnals and sing the hymns from the 1800s, which I adore. So I'm not bashing that. I love it. But the song that everybody was singing, there was a part of one of the verses that said, I'm born again into a new family. And that was really moving to me, because that really encapsulated how I feel about what I'm doing now. Is, I still have a family. I still have kids. I still have extended family here in this beautiful land of beer and cheese. But I am born into a new family, and I cherish those people. And like Elizabeth and everyone else that's on this mission with me, that allows me to do this with them and helps show me the way, that I'm grateful for. That this is a new life, like dieting. It's one step at a time, one choice at a time. And this way, I think we'll get things done.
Yeah, I agree.
Anything else you have for today, Elizabeth?
I don't think so. The election in Pennsylvania is November 7th. Get out and vote. They already started the mail-in ballots. I cannot remember when they have to be in, I want to say the day of. But show up if you can show up. If you can't, please do your research on the candidates. Do not hold yourself to a party. You don't have to vote for everybody on there either, like school boards. You do not, if it says there's 5 openings, you do not have to vote for 5. You vote for the ones you want and no more. So if they're like, our school has 6 openings, there are 5 of us that are running, vote for the 5. You are not forced to vote for somebody you don't want to vote for. And there are a lot of people that don't understand that. So please do your research on the candidates. If you research me and you're in my district and you think, I really don't like what she's based on, that's fine. You did your research. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah.
So that's all.
That is great information. Great information. And, I think in the past, there's been a little bit of a tradition of blowing off some of these elections that aren't, the presidential elections. They're not the big elections. And what we know now, what we know to be true today, is that this is where the change has started happening. This is how they've changed our children. This is how they've developed a generation of kids that have crazy morals and values. And it has started at this level, at the school district. And this is probably more important than a presidential election, because
Absolutely.
this affects the next generation of voters, of people. And it's crucial. It's crucial.
Yep.
Yeah, Elizabeth. Thanks for running.
You're welcome.
Well, that's it for today. We'll be back next week with another riveting episode.
So riveting.
All right. Have a great week, everybody.
Yes. See you later.